Hey everyone, and welcome back to the EdgeVerse Techcast. This again is your go-to place for everything related to NXP software, tools, and enablement, specifically tailored for our processors and microcontrollers. I'm your co-host, Kyle Dando.
And I'm your other co-host, Bridgette Stone. On today's episode...
Hold it right there, Bridgette. I don't know if you know this. This is pretty super duper important. I'd like to make a special announcement.
Oh boy, here we go again. You always find a way to make this quote-unquote special.
Yeah, you're right. But this time I am super serious. It's hard to believe this, but this is our 25th episode.
I honestly didn't think I'd survive this long with you, Kyle. Miracles do happen.
Ha, very funny. But this is a big deal for everybody listening. This is 25 episodes in, and that's basically a half a year of work. And more importantly, consistency. So kudos to both of us. It's quite an effort.
This is an awesome milestone.
Yeah. So in celebration, I want to draw one huge request from all of you listening. Please make us happy and hit that like button. If there's not a like button, leave a comment. If there's not a comment, leave a 5-star review. Bridgette, do you know that I look at our statistics not every day, that would be obsessive, but at least every week. And I've yet to see somebody like, comment, or provide feedback. It's frustrating.
Good point, Kyle. And yes, we've asked for comments for 25 weeks straight. Maybe we can entice the listeners with some NXP swag or something like that to drop a comment. Wink, wink. But to the listeners out there, if you've been quietly enjoying the show, now is your moment. Drop a like, leave a review, or just tell us your favorite episode. It might finally give Kyle the closure he needs.
Absolutely. All right. Well, this is a big effort, as I mentioned before. We both really enjoy providing this weekly update for everybody, providing that relevant information. So as you're evaluating or developing with NXP MCUs or MPUs, you can get a little bit of information. A little feedback from you or love would go a long way for Bridgette and I.
And for this special episode, we're keeping it casual with another open mic format, just the two of us sharing what's new and what's next. But first, I say we start with a little behind the scenes fun like we did last time. What do you say, Kyle?
Sure thing. What do you got in mind, Bridgette?
Well, you clearly enjoy this podcast thing. Can you share something listeners might not know about what goes into producing the TechCast? Maybe one positive and one challenge?
That's a great question. But you know what, Bridgette, first things first, am I the only one who feels like everyone is doing a podcast these days? It seems like every day I see someone else is announcing a new podcast.
I don't think it's just you. I think that podcasts have become one of the most effective ways to reach a targeted audience. People want to connect with content that speaks to them directly. And as marketers, we've had to adapt.
I agree that reaching our end audience, I've been in this for quite a while. It's becoming more and more challenging. Traditional media that I grew up on, it's gone, or it's just less effective. People are tiring of the older methods, and some of these new things are catching fire. I think that's why people are gravitating to this podcast format. Hey, let's keep it up. Let's give the people what they want. All right, so to answer the question, what I get the most enjoyment from is producing this podcast. It is really a lot of fun. As an engineer, I'm able to take what I've learned and my creativity and put it into a common task. But to be clear, things have changed. Bridgette, I did a podcast about 8 years ago. So I've been putting these podcasts together with different tools. And 5 years ago, it required so much effort. Not only was I a terrible podcaster, but the tools made it even more difficult, and it was a challenge. So it was fun, but using traditional audio and video tools, it would take hours to finalize a podcast, especially depending on the guest speakers. You get the the like, or right, or and it was not easy to produce a production quality audio release. So that all changed this year with the availability of current AI support tools. We use a tool called Descript.com, and it has made producing this podcast so much easier. The tool transcribes our audio. It identifies all those filler words that I just talked about or repeated phrases, and I can quickly produce our episodes in under an hour. It's a huge improvement. Using AI to clean up publicly consumed information is super powerful. We schedule interesting subject matter experts. The AI tool puts out a high-quality interview.
I couldn't agree more. The AI tools have been huge, not just for editing, but also for repurposing the content into blogs and other materials. It means that our guest insights don't just live in one episode of one place, and they get a lot of extra visibility across other channels. So, what's the most challenging part about producing the podcast?
So that's easy. I think that the most challenging part of the podcast is spending time with you.
Of course, I knew that was coming. I know it's tongue in cheek, but I know it was coming.
Yeah, you set that one up. All right. Well, let's circle back to the topic at hand. So let me clarify. I think the main challenge is focusing the conversations that we have with the guest to address two totally different audiences. First, we need to make sure that the conversation provides introduction information, but then that it also appeals to those that want that expert knowledge, somebody that wants a little bit more information than they already have. We've done a pretty good job. However, I hope that we continue to improve this balance. I believe we have listeners in both camps. So producing the episodes that start with a good overview, but then expose a little known fact or two, honestly, Bridgette, I think that is the biggest challenge that we have in front of us.
Yep, I would agree with that. And it's a balancing act, but I think we're getting closer.
Okay, so as you've always said, I love to hear myself talk, and I always have. But to be honest, you, on the other hand, I'm pretty sure I needed to encourage you to join me on this podcast. Now,
That you did.
I knew that you would be the perfect balance to my over-the-top attitude for all of our episodes. Now that I've proven that I was right, you are a natural. As my wife will tell me, she says, it's a good thing Bridgette's on that podcast because she makes it something that I actually want to listen to. Why don't you tell the listeners your favorite part of being a part of this TechCast adventure?
Well, you like to tease me that I say I love something too much, and I do love that for me because honestly, there's a whole lot of love about doing this TechCast, and I'm very happy that you talked me into it. Yes, it's work. Weekly episodes don't magically appear, but what keeps me coming back is how much I'm learning. Every guest, every topic, it pushes me to think differently, and it's made me a sharper, more curious marketer. I genuinely love connecting with our guests, whether it's someone I've worked with for years or a new expert I get to meet for the first time. There's just something so energizing about having real conversations with smart people who care about what they do. And you know what, Kyle? I don't even mind spending all this time with you. You keep things interesting. Occasionally you make me laugh. And shockingly, you haven't scared off any guests yet. So I'd call that a win. Here we are, 25 episodes in, and we haven't quit. Maybe I do love this gig after all.
Maybe there is some enjoyment we get out of this.
All right, now that we have the behind the scenes out of the way, let's jump into what's new. NXP's been busy building a better developer ecosystem. We know that. We talk about it regularly. What's the first improvement you want our listeners to know about?
So this is something that we just released. As I've talked about in the past, MCUXpresso SDK is the software development kit that we provide all of our customers who are using our microcontrollers. And just in June, with our release at the end of the month, we introduced a new tool that used to be only used internally at NXP. It was our Example Explorer. What it would allow is all of our internal developers to use a script to type in a topic or a software module, and it would quickly show all of the examples that were available. It would give the exact command line syntax to run those examples, and they didn't have to do any extra work. When they showed this tool, I said, we have to get this to the customers. So in the 2506 release, that command is now available to the customers. All they have to do is install our SDK, and then with our West extensions, we have a new one called West Explore. If you type in that, it'll launch a Python GUI, and in there you can use up to 8 to 10 fields. You can put in the board you're using. You could type in AWS or FreeRTOS or Bluetooth, and it will filter down the examples. You can target a different core. You can target a tool chain like IAR or MDK, and it will give you the exact examples that are available. More importantly, it will have the proper command line instruction to build those projects. So it's just a really great way, I think, for customers to explore all of the examples. I mean, I think we have thousands of examples in the GitHub SDK. So having that clear window into the examples will be very, very powerful.
Pretty interesting stuff, Kyle. And I know the developers and the team are really excited about this release. Is there somewhere the listeners can go to learn more?
Yeah, we have a video that shows this quick example. I'll put that in the episode notes. Any of our listeners who are interested, they can click on that to learn more. All right, so now it's your turn, Bridgette. Let's ask you some questions. I know that your team has been working on some big announcements recently. You had a launch just the other week. Anything exciting that you can share about that with our listeners?
Of course. The new MCX E series of microcontrollers have launched. My team's been really working hard on this. The E series is built for where things are rugged, noisy, and always evolving. It's powered by a Cortex M4F core. It delivers the performance, connectivity, and efficiency engineers need for smart buildings, industrial systems, and safety-critical designs. What's super cool is that it strengthens NXP's position with the largest 5-volt MCU portfolio in the industry. It's perfect for those harsh environments. And of course, it comes with all the software and tools we enjoy talking about here on the TechCast every week. MCUXpresso SDK, real-time enablement, and freedom boards to get teams prototyping fast. This launch adds some serious muscle to the MCX MCU portfolio, and it gives developers a resilient, scalable path forward.
Awesome. Sounds exciting.
So let's wrap up with one last nugget of tech goodness, Kyle. What else is on your docket to share today?
All right. Well, I think the West Explorer impressed everybody, but this one's actually very exciting, and that is the software bill of materials. We've gotten a lot of requests from customers, and the future of software development is going to require compliance for cybersecurity and all of the regulations that are being put in place. People who are developing products with software need to be able to trace back the origin and the source of that software. In the past, NXP provided an SCR file. In that file, there's a list of the software, the license type, but that's a very manual process. What the customers have asked NXP to deliver, and what we are going to be delivering in our next release, is a software bill of materials. What that is a JSON type file, and it allows customers to automatically query what's in our software and get feedback from it.
What percentage would you say of this software is being delivered with the corresponding SBOM?
Well, right now we're about 85%. We actually, in 2506, in that June release, we were able to get most of the software to deliver an SBOM. We're wrapping that up. We should have all the remaining repositories providing an SBOM in the September release.
And for the folks not knee-deep in DevOps, do you want to just go into a little bit of detail of what's an SBOM and why they should care?
Yeah, so I started talking a little bit about it. It's really for those DevOps people. What they're going to want to do is go to an NXP server, gather this machine information. It'll be a file that has a JSON format. Then these machines will be able to parse that information and generate reports on where all the software in their product comes from.
So you said we're about 85% there. When do we hit 100?
So it should be in September. We will have something in September. That will be for our GitHub SDK. Then we will move on from the GitHub SDK to our archive SDKs, whether it's in September or in the December release. So everybody will have access to this SBOM information.
Great. That's right around the corner. And I guess that's a wrap for our 25th episode. We've covered a lot of behind the scenes that people may or may not care about. And we've covered talking about AI-powered podcast tools, the joys of TechCast hosting, the new MCU Espresso SDK, Example Explorer, SBOM improvements. Not bad for a Milestone show. And I would like to tell the listeners, as a callback to Kyle's shameless review begging at the beginning, please, please, please leave a review. But Kyle, over to you.
Yeah, and I would agree. I think for 25 episodes, this was a great one. Keep looking at the content that Bridgette and I are putting out. Bridgette's putting a lot of effort into some of these new products, like she mentioned, the MCX E. There's a lot of software coming down the road. We're going to be excited to share it in our next 25 episodes. So again, if you enjoy these conversations, please, please, please comment. Tell us how funny you think we are, or tell us to stop with the bad jokes. Turn on your notifications so you never miss an episode. And if you have a topic, drop it in that comment and we'll cover it for you.
And until next time, keep innovating, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the EdgeVerse Techcast.